chose to answer the question for the clinical correlate CHO loading and glycogen storage for exercise. Is there a point where carbohydrate loading becomes detrimental to performance? Explain why or why not. So the idea around carb loading before exercise is that the muscles will be close to depleted from the intense exercise and will take up extra carbohydrates when exercise is restricted. Carbohydrate feeding can help to maintain plasma glucose concentration and prevent hypoglycemia, sparing hepatic glycogen, and in some cases delay muscle glycogen depletion. I know that Rachel said in her PowerPoint that optimal carb loading before exercise was around 5 to 10 grams per kilogram of body weight, and she did state that studies have shown that it becomes too much at around 10 to 15 grams per kilogram of body weight. So, well, why is that? Too much can also lead to incomplete absorption and residual CHO, increasing GI problems during exercise. The overconsumption of these carbohydrates can also have negative side effects such as bloating, abdominal discomfort, and increased water retention, which can lead to weight gain. Now, carbohydrate loading is great for long endurance athletes such as marathon runners or any exercise that lasts longer than 90 minutes, or as known as aerobic exercise. But those who do more anaerobic exercises such as weightlifting will not need to carb load as much as aerobic exercise. Explosive movements would also be an example of when carbohydrate loading becomes detrimental to performance, as well as timing. That also matters when it comes to carbohydrate loading. It also matters what kinds of carbohydrates the athlete is consuming. If they are consuming too much fructose or empty carbs, this could result in a crash before or during their performance. A high intake of glucose plus fructose does not seem to increase stomach fullness sensation, but that is observed with glucose intake. Carb loading should also be avoided with people that are already at risk or have GI problems. Lower gastric emptying can be associated with GI problems, and effects of increasing carbohydrate concentration content upon fluid delivery could worsen those problems. Multiple CHO transporters increase fluid delivery, and higher amounts can be ingested during exercise. Another point at where carbohydrate loading becomes detrimental to performance is the ingestion of single CHO transporters. Ingestion of multiple transportable carbohydrates seems to improve performance, probably because of a reduction in GI distress because of a lower amount of residual carbohydrate in the intestine. So in conclusion, there are a lot of variables to consider in order to look at the point where carbohydrate loading can become detrimental to performance: the type of exercise, the timing of the intake of carbohydrates, and what carbohydrates are being consumed, and the athlete's diet in conjunction with carb loading. So if they have a high fat diet or a low fat diet, that's all going to affect whether carbohydrate loading can be detrimental to their performance.